Today we're looking at what I call monkey post, which takes me back in the day, growing up. This is the second part of the song. We are able to go up and take the country. Only move on to the righteous side. Move on to the righteous side. Move on to the righteous side of God. That's why I was, cheating in sports has always been there. I recall growing up playing football on the streets. We set up, two stones to serve as a goal post. And that's what we call monkey post. And what usually will happen is because there is no top, even when you hit the ball between the two stones, sometimes they tell you it's over the bar. So a lot of cheating was going on because the teams wanted to win by every means possible. And cheating is quite rife in sports. I mean, even from a very young age, when you start to show some kind of promise, you're actually given performance enhancing drugs, even in the school system. Um, you look at some of the races that involves, bicycles, where you have people actually putting a small motor on their bicycles to enhance, their performance. Diving is quite, rife in football, where you have strikers just by touching them, they crash to the floor as if they're about to die, just to get the penalty, and then they can go on to win. And that's why you see that there are attempts to try to counter this. A lot of regular tests of athletes to be sure that they're not using performance enhancing drugs. You have the video assistant referee. In the case of football, you have Okai in tennis. Because in some instances, I think I recall one instance when someone described this as a hometown call. In this other person had hit the ball very close to the line and it was called out, but Okai was able to resolve the issues. Of course, this is very competitive. The scripture actually refers to the competition and sports in 1 Corinthians 9:24. You do not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize. And that's why there's competition in any case. And there's a lot of effort that goes into it. Run in such a way that you will obtain it. Everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. So people really put a lot of effort and energy to be able to excel in whatever sports code that they're interested in. But when it comes to the Christian race, we have a better prize. And so much more is expected of us. I mean, we've talked about people trying to cheat in sports. But when it comes to the gospel, because we have a better price that awaits, we also need, much more, a higher standard of living and behavior is expected. And you see this sentiment captured in 1 Corinthians 9:25b. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown, referring to those that are trying to win football matches or tennis tournaments, but we for an imperishable crown. Therefore, I run thus not with uncertainty. I fight not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. Lest when I preach to others, I myself should become disqualified. You don't want to be disqualified. You don't want to jump the gun. You want to live right so that at the coming of Christ, you can actually win the prize, because you've lived a life that is pleasing in the sight of God.